What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. I got Justin on as a guest today. Justin, how's it going today?
Dude, I am stressed out. Really, I got projects to do, stuff I got to do.
Yeah, I think one of those I also have to do as well.
Yeah. But otherwise, I'm fine. Thanks for having me. Of course.
Of course. I do want to turn your attention to Justin's face. He has grown a very nice mustache.
Yeah. So what happened was, to really give some context here. I found a nice little like cocktail like a nice like kind of pre-made cocktail thing at the liquor store in Trumbull, and I bought it home with me over the fall break, and it was really fucking good. I had one can. That's all. That's it. I had one can, but that one can made me break down to the point to where I was so happy that the Jets were winning that I was like, you know what? If they win this game, I'm shaving it into a mustache. And lo and behold, I did, and I love it, and I say no regrets on it. I think it looks good on me.
I think it does too.
I think it looks good on me. It is Mustache Monday today.
I will say, so the segments that we do for the show, they're always like predetermined. This one was determined about, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago.
Yep.
I saw his mustache. I was like, we gotta talk about this mustache because this mustache is it's
It just keeps on growing. It just keeps on growing because it's kind of reached that point where I shaved everything but the mustache. Like the scruff from the beard is coming in, but the mustache keeps on growing more. So it's like the mustache is like full on the forefront. It's the only thing you're gonna see. I promised my mom I would shave this thing on Tuesday. It is now the next Monday. I am not shaving it. She's just gonna have to accept that. I'm sorry, Ma, but that's gonna have to be something that will just have to be accepted. This is me now. This is who I am. It's not just a phase, Mom. As every emo kid goes through. It's not just a phase. It's who I am.
Yeah. All right, but
maybe next time I'll get the Jimmy Butler like emo fade. We'll see what we do there.
Oh god.
I'll get a curling iron. I'll get like a straightening iron. I'll straighten out the locks, and I'll get like this bunch of long hair, and I'll part it over here, so half my face is covered, and I'll look like something out of like the worst metal band you've ever seen in your life. My next song will be called Exit Sandman.
Exit Sandman.
Yep.
Exit Sandman. Yep. All right, but we got a great show for you guys. We're talking football today, so let's jump right in. Let's talk about some college football. And
it's so over. It's so over.
Because I know what Justin wants to talk about.
This is Act 1 through 3 right here of the podcast.
Let's talk about the first game. Let's talk about the there was a big upset. The Stanford Cardinal. They had a miraculous comeback against the Colorado Buffaloes. Of course, the Colorado is now coached by Deion Sanders. So Colorado was up 29-0, I believe, at the half, and then completely collapsed. Stanford comes all the way back, ties the game towards the end of regulation. Colorado ends up losing in double overtime to Stanford, who have not been good at football in a very long time. Came in, I think, at like 1-4.
Right, last time they were good was back in like the Christian McCaffrey, Andrew Luck era.
Just about. That sounds about right. But yeah, so Justin, you've been a little critical of Colorado, and obviously you have a little more to talk about now. So, what are your concerns or your thoughts on this Colorado thing?
First of all, I just want to add this: I'm not critical of people just because.
Right.
I'm critical for certain reasons. I said that Colorado, because the problem is this: Colorado will win one game, and people will say that they're going to the national championship.
The media overhypes them for sure.
They get incredibly overhyped. 4-3 is a nice record for a team who only had one win last year. Mm-hmm. It's nice. It's nice to have. A record over 500 is also nice to have. But come on, Stanford. Like, I don't understand how you Like, I don't understand. You're up 29-0. You're supposed to be this new, improved, elite team, and you shoot yourself in the foot. You didn't even just shoot yourself. You took a Gatling gun to the left toe. That is what they did. That is a awful choke. Absolutely awful. You fell asleep right when overtime started. I'm watching this game because I'm thinking to myself, I swear to God, if Colorado loses this, that is going to be so funny. And they did. It was, and to their credit, the Stanford offense really stepped up. They really, really stepped up. One of the Stanford receivers had a really nice catch off the back of one of the, I think it was off the back of Shiloh Sanders' helmet.
Wow.
And it was like a really nice catch. Some people would argue it as probably like a front runner for catch of the year. I agree. That was a really good catch in such a big moment because it's forced the double overtime. And then it's just the lack of fundamentals from Shedeur at the end that got me. And like I said, I don't want to criticize people just because. But you cannot go out there, Dion, and you can't express how elite your quarterback is, and then on a crucial 3rd and 2 to get the first down, to continue having that chance to score in overtime, you decide to scramble. Like, you scramble. Here's the thing, there was some great zone coverage by Stanford there. No receiver was going to do it. But I just don't understand. You're not even on a time limit in overtime. So he just, didn't see anybody, started running around, got lightly smothered, and rather than throwing it away, he decides to do, this crossbody lob, and where does it land? Right in the hands of Stanford. That's a practice pick. I mean, we talked about this before about the Cardinals and the Cowboys game, to where Dak Prescott threw one of the worst picks just directly to a Cardinals defender. That's basically what this was. And that set up Stanford to get a couple of yards, kick an easy 25-footer, an easy 25-yard field goal, and that's the game. They got to be better. That's what it is. They got to be better. They can't look at this game and say, and say, oh, we're fine. You can't do that because if that's the case, you're never going to get better. Yes, for a team that only had one win the entire season last year, this is a great record. But 4-3 to any other college ever is not that good.
Yeah, they're 3-3.
He's 1-3, and they're 1-3 in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Really, if you really look at it, they are a bottom 5 team in the Pac-12. That's why they're not ranked.
Yeah.
That's exactly why they're not ranked. They have only had, if you ask me, one convincing win their entire time, and that was against Nebraska. Because Nebraska is awful.
Yeah.
I don't know what people see in this. I don't understand why. So Scott Frost leaves, and people think that Matt Rule is the missing
He's a great college coach.
He's a great college coach, but it's almost like what we said about Sean Payne on the Broncos, to where people thought he was just gonna wave a magic wand. All of a sudden, they're gonna be a top 4 team, and they're gonna win a natty. That's not gonna happen.
No, not overnight. No.
It's just not. But there you go. That's my spiel. I'm saving it for the other podcast that we do, a senior project, which we'll probably talk about later.
But yeah, so I didn't see too much of the game. I caught the end, and then I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up at 4 a.m. to the post game show, and Stanford had won. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see Justin the next morning because he's gonna be very happy. But my main concern was this. I didn't see a lot of the game. Colorado's tackling in that game was really bad.
It was bad.
Awful.
The defense was not good.
What I don't understand. So Dion is arguably the greatest cornerback in the history of the NFL. How do you have Deion Sanders as your head football coach and your tackling is that bad? I don't understand. What am I doing?
How is your secondary that bad?
Exactly. Yeah. Look, the talent pool on their defense isn't fantastic. I mean, they won one football game last year. They gave, I think, at least 40 points in maybe every game but one last year. So to rebuild that defense, it's gonna take some time. But how do you have Deion Sanders as your head coach and have that poor of tackling?
Yeah, but let's also remember this is basically the Jackson State football team.
He brought his own luggage for sure.
He brought his own luggage there, and most of the players there, if you look up any player on there, you'll probably find out that maybe that at least 85% of them played for him at Jackson State before this year. So this team, this is what I'm saying. It just doesn't seem to me that he really stressed out improvement. Yeah, okay, your defense is fantastic, and you're going and you're having perfect records in the SWAC. And it's like, okay, but that's unfortunately that's a bottom five conference. If we have Ethan on here, he could talk all about it.
Yeah.
He could probably talk for days as to why the SWAC is worse than the Pac-12. But also, you don't need to be a genius to know that either.
No. Yeah. So Colorado, for bad loss to Stanford. Look, they're still obviously trending in the right direction. They won one football game last year. They are 3-3. But yeah, this is a team that they're a lot of fun. They're going to score a lot. Shedeur Sanders, I think if his dad lets him go to the NFL next year, I do think he'll be a higher pick.
Oh, definitely be a higher. The talent is there for Shedeur. Yeah. I just think he needs to get a little smarter. Yeah. I think he needs to stop being so reliant.
Too long, I will say.
I feel
his
like
line is not good.
I feel like he needs to be a little bit less reliant on Travis Hunter.
Speaking of Travis Hunter, I think he needs to pick a position. He can't play both ways.
He can't play both ways. He's going to get himself hurt even more.
He'll get gassed. He's going to get hurt. It's not going to work. He already came off it. He already did get hurt.
Yeah, like a lacerated, I forgot what it was.
So he already missed a couple of games. He's got to pick a position. If he's going to have a long career in the NFL, he's not going to have one if he's playing both sides.
Yeah, well, so what does he play? He plays wide receiver and a corner.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's fast enough to be a wide receiver. Just play that. But whatever. But you're right. Whatever floats his boat. But the other thing is, like I said, Shedeur needs to rely on not just giving it to Travis Hunter. If he's getting smothered there on the coverage, you need a professional quarterback knows how to throw it to another guy.
Yeah.
Like Patrick Mahomes. I'm just giving an example here. Yeah, I'm sure Patrick Mahomes would love to throw it to Travis Kelce, but everyone knows that that's going to be the game plan. Yeah. So they're gonna double, hell, even triple Travis Kelce. But if Rashee Rice is wide open 25 yards out, why the hell not?
Yeah,
give it to him. Trust in your other receivers to catch the ball, and Kadarius Toney, whatever he is. I mean, at this point, he should be a corner at this point for the amount of drop balls he can force, for the amount of drops he can force in a game. You should let Kadarius Toney do it. All right, what's next, Jake?
All right, so let's talk about USC with a tough loss to Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins 48-20.
See, Jake, I want to say this. I know how you feel about this.
Okay,
but this is unfortunately what you get for calling the Notre Dame fans nauseating. Do I agree? Absolutely. But this is what you get. Yeah. Just like this is what you get for making the toothpaste jokes about the Colgate hockey team.
Yeah, for context, Sacred Heart Hockey, men's hockey, they opened up the season against Colgate
at the beautiful Martyr Family Arena. That's not biased. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's very nice arena that opened only last year. So they played Colgate. So I'm not sure if you guys know, Colgate is a toothpaste brand. So when we were playing,
I think everyone knows Colgate's a toothpaste brand, but it's also a college, I think, in New York.
Yeah. So I made quite a few jokes about Colgate being a toothpaste, and they lost them both games. So
they got killed by them both games.
First game they lost 3-2, but they got outshot by like 20 shots. The second game was not.
The second game started off good because it was like tied 1-1.
It was they tied it early in the second, then they gave up 5 unanswered goals, so that didn't quite go well. They losing 6-1. Both times they got outshot there by many shots, and So I made my Colgate jokes kind of came back to bite me in the backside.
That's little.
Yeah. But so Caleb Williams, who obviously we got scouts are just loathing over him. You got one guy came out and said, of course he kept his name anonymous, saying he would have been number 1 even if Joe Burrow wasn't in this draft, or even Trevor Lawrence. You got guys, comparing him to Mahomes. They got the entire league is going out to watch his games. People have been talking about him for 2 years now. He is the projected number 1 pick in this upcoming draft. He had a tough game, threw for over 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So Is it just a bad game? Is he is he being overhyped? Like what do you think of his tough performance against the Fighting Irish?
You really need to ask this. This I think is the time to where you really need to start asking yourself. It's like, is he? He will be a top pick,
Absolutely.
but this is where I feel that we really need to start asking ourselves if he is the number one overall pick.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna say this flat out, hot take. I don't see it.
Really?
I don't see it. I guess it's one of those things to where there's nothing about him that I look at to where it's like, oh my god, yes,
Mm.
you are the number one overall pick. Because if you kind of think about it, like let's really think about some of the number one overall picks in history for quarterbacks and what they did. So Trevor Lawrence, for example, had a bit of a rough year, but has really turned it around. People find that he is a really good quarterback. He led Clemson to national championships.
Mhm.
He didn't win, but that was because he was going up against another number one overall pick, Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow had arguably one of the greatest college seasons of all time. And that's one of those things where if I'm a scout, I'm thinking, yeah, you're worth you should be the number one pick. There's clearly things about those guys that have made them deserving of it. Do I see that in Caleb Williams? I don't know. It really isn't. I don't know. You threw 3 picks against Notre Dame. That's not good at all. It's really not. You kind of, and then he played against Colorado, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, and his performance was good on paper, but you also need to be the leader of that offense when Colorado starts to make that comeback. Because that's what happened. He stopped scoring and Colorado ended up, setting the tempo of it, and they were lucky they ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
That's my look on it. I'm not necessarily sure. Maybe he will be the number one overall pick. And that's fine, but if we're talking Heisman, I don't see it.
Yeah, for Heisman, he's still right there, but I do think Michael Penix
I love Michael Penix
from Washington is.
I'm not sure if he's eligible for the draft this year.
Penix, I think he is. Well, obviously, once we get close to the draft, we can talk about that. But
because I think he deserves to go number one.
Really,
I do. He's excellent.
He's really good.
He's incredible. He's what you want. He is everything of what you want in a dual threat quarterback in a league to where the quarterback needs to know how to use their legs just as much as how they need to use their arms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, he can use his legs if he needs to, but he also has just such good arm talent. I just don't see. To me, I think it was a bit of a snub putting them at 5th.
Who?
Washington.
I think they'll be in the top 4 eventually.
They should be in top 4. They are. Penix is really, he's incredible.
Yeah.
There's also I'm not sure if Quinn Ewers is available. If he's eligible, but he will be in talks he will be in talks though for a high draft, for a big time draft pick. Mm-hmm. Earlier on, but Penix I'm looking at and I'm saying that is the guy who I think should go number 1 overall. I mean, really, who put on their bingo card that Washington was going to be 5th?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I thought that'd be good, but to be the top 5 team in the country, I don't think anybody thought that.
Exactly. That's what I think separates it. Okay, Caleb, leading a team to 19th is cool. Leading them to top 25, impressive. Leading them to top 5, that's even more impressive.
Yeah, so with Caleb, I think he's phenomenal. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he'll be great. And the only chance I think the only chance he won't go number 1 overall is if a team who has number 1 pick doesn't need a quarterback, and they look at Marvin and they take Marvin Harrison Jr. from the receiver from Ohio State, who's a top 2 player in this draft. That being said, he's being overhyped. the Mahomes comparisons I don't get.
That I thought was a big
That
stretch.
he's being they're acting as if he's like in the same category when it comes to prospects as like Andrew Luck, even Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and he's like kind of in the conversation, but he's not quite. He's like they're acting as if he's like this, just he's gold, and he's just like the hype that Trevor Lawrence got is the hype that Caleb Williams got, and I don't think that
Yeah,
the hype that
jump off that Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, they were projected. The reason why they went over was because they were projected to completely turn their teams around.
Yeah.
And especially looking at Joe Burrow, he did. He completely turned the Bengals around. They were for like 15 years, they were garbage.
They hadn't won a playoff game in 30 years.
Yeah, won a playoff game in 30 years, and in your second year, in your fully healthy year, you take them to a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Talking about turning the team around.
Yeah.
Good God. How much more does he have to do?
Even Trevor Lawrence took the Jaguars to the playoffs last year.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence took the Jaguars to the playoffs. Had a decent run for his second year, and also the first year he was dealing with Urban Meyer, which was not a very good coaching situation. Yeah. So we really have to see what Caleb Williams does. Or how he can do. I'm not sure what team he goes to at this point. I know we'll talk about the NFL later, but I just don't know who's going to get Caleb Williams. I don't.
Yeah, I do think he's being overhyped, though I do think he's very talented. I do think he'll be great in the NFL. That being said, he also goes to USC, and USC quarterbacks, for whatever reason, they never really work out. Outside of Carson Palmer was a good quarterback, but Sam Darnold was horrible. Matt Leinart was awful. Matt Barkley wasn't as high of a pick, but he wasn't very good. So these USC quarterbacks really never work out. So, I mean, Caleb Williams is by far the most talented of all the guys I just named. But
well, Matt Leinart was also supposed to project to be really good. He was a bust also.
He was a bust. He was definitely a first pick. Might have been like a top 10 guy.
I think he was picked higher than top 10. Let me take a look while you're talking.
But yeah, Caleb, I think he's very talented. He's going to be great, but he's being overhyped, I will say. But what just confirms...
Yeah, Matt Leinart was 10th, yeah.
Okay, so he was the 10th pick, but still, very large bust. I think the last game that we'll talk about, then we'll move to NFL, is number 7 Washington against number 8 Oregon. It was a phenomenal game. Washington wins 36-33. So, we kind of just alluded to it. I think we can both agree that the Heisman favorite right now should be Michael Penix.
Absolutely, without a doubt. I do like Bo Nix though a lot. Bo Nix is also going to be.
He played very well as
well. Bo Nix is also going to be a nice pick to have in the draft because I'm sure he'll be going eventually. And some of these Oregon quarterbacks do come out to be very well, like Justin Herbert, and now Bo Nix. But yeah, we already talked about this. Why we think Michael Penix should win the Heisman. He's just done so much for that team. People thought they were going to be good, but not this good. And Penix, what more can be said? He's I'm not sure what else you have to say that I haven't said, but incredible.
Yeah, I think they'll be in the college football playoff.
I think they'll be in the football playoff. For some reason, AP is just in love with FSU right now.
Yeah, I mean they won 41-3, but they beat Syracuse. Syracuse football is
they lost their greatest player of all time than Sean Tucker.
Syracuse football last 2 years has been somewhat competent, but still they're not the great. They're 4-3. They don't have a win. They don't have a win in the ACC. So
yep, that's true.
But yeah, so Michael Penix is the guy. And
Michael Penix is the GOAT.
And Washington will be top 4, I think, eventually. All right, let's talk about the NFL. So first, the Chiefs beat the Broncos 19-8 on Thursday Night Football. 16 straight wins for the Chiefs over the Broncos. The Broncos are 1-5, and there's been trade rumors when it comes to the performance of the entire Denver Broncos team. And let me ask you this: for Denver, do they just say, "All right, this isn't working"? Do they just explode this whole thing? Do they try to just wait this out? Maybe draft a quarterback next year and then try it again with Sean Payton? What do I do at this point?
The answer that I give, no.
No.
I wouldn't explode it. I wouldn't blow the whole thing up.
Mhm.
I would not. You can look at that team and pull out really good pieces.
Mhm.
You know, Jerry Judy's a good piece. Javonte Williams, when healthy, is a good piece. Patrick Surtain is a great
He's
piece.
phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. When are people going to stop looking at the entire Broncos as a whole and look at Russell Wilson?
Mhm. He's done.
They traded him for everything.
Yep.
Really, they gave Seattle so much to work with. And with those picks, they have built such a good team out of it. They built a solid team out of it. I'm not sure how much I love Geno. And then I think he might be hurt. So it probably is Drew Lock that's starting. So I'm not sure how much I love that for Seattle. But they're still on the up and up. Whereas getting Russell Wilson was supposed to completely, it was supposed to completely fix this team, and it hasn't.
No.
First year they blamed Nathaniel Hackett, and I guess that was a valid statement. But now you have Sean Payton, who is an experienced coach in this league. What's the excuse?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the excuse? I would blame Sean Payton as well because his coaching has not been very good.
No.
And on top of that, he talks a lot of shit for nothing.
Yeah.
But
I forgot what down it was in that game.
you forgot what down it was. But still, if you want to look at anything, get Russell out of there. Get Russ out of there. The difficulty is that you can't trade Russ anywhere at this
No.
point. Who would want him?
No one.
Who would you trade him for? You can't just cut the guy. You gave him too much money.
Yeah.
You can't trade him. Who's gonna want him?
Yeah.
Really, there are so many. Maybe the Cardinals. Maybe. If that, because Joshua Dobbs is atrocious.
Josh
Well-
Dobbs been playing pretty well.
He's been playing decent, but still not that good. What, Desmond Ritter? We're going to
Yeah,
say
whatever.
the Falcons? We put him on the Falcons? I just don't see where he goes from here, but I would fire Sean Payton immediately. Someone else got to be down there. For some reason, Vic Fangio's Broncos has looked better,
Yeah.
and that's saying something. So I think it's a lot of issues, but I don't know. Tanking is out of the option, I feel. I feel like it has to be because you paid Russ too much money. That's it. You can't tank for a quarterback.
Yeah.
I guess you go for the number 2 overall pick, or you get that number 1 overall pick and you draft another wide receiver. But if Russell Wilson isn't going to be able to complete a single check down to Jerry Jeudy, he's definitely not going to complete one to Marvin Harrison Jr. That's where I stand on the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, for me, the main problem is Russell Wilson. I don't think it's that close. He's not good anymore. He was already declining in Seattle in his last year there. Then Denver gave up 3 arms and a leg for him, and he's just continued to decline. He has nothing left. He's washed. It's like that one meme of Damian Priest from wrestling. It's over. You're washed. It's over. It's done. His career is over. Retire. Leave football. They're 1-5. They're terrible. And I'm not saying trade everybody. Like Pat Surtain should be untouchable. He's the best corner in the game. Still really young. In fact, they should be looking to extend him in the offseason.
They should.
Do I want to trade Javonte Williams? Apart from the fact that I don't know how high his value is coming off a knee injury. No, he's still very young. I like the talent on him. Everybody else, I don't know.
Judy also is good.
I'm not a huge fan of Judy. He hasn't had good quarterbacks. Obviously Steve Smith just went at him. He's always hurt. There's nothing that I've seen from him that screams even worth a first round pick. I'd look to move him. Sutton I would move. He's good, but he's fine. But I don't think he's number 1 wide receiver. I don't know what the heck is that defense.
Outside Pat Surtain.
Surtain.
Who's the best player on that team by far?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is not going to work.
At this point, just start Kendall Hinton again.
I'm not going to lie. Their backup is Jared Stidham. So, he played at Auburn, and then he had a little stint in New England. Then last year he was a backup for the Raiders. And the 2 games he started when Derek Carr was hurt, / the Raiders didn't want to have his contract to be guaranteed, so they sat him before they cut him. He played pretty well. I think there's a legit case for you to start Jared Stidham at this point. Because, the offense...
It can't get any worse.
It really can't. at this point, I know you're paying Russell Wilson. I know Russell Wilson has on a $245 million contract and Stidham's on a $10 million deal. So I'm sure their GM, George Payton, who should not have a job, he's one of the worst GMs in recent memory in the history of this league.
I don't know. Ryan Pace is up there.
Ryan Pace is also up there, but George Payton, good God, what do you do?
Gettleman.
Gettleman might be the worst. Holy moly! But Peyton's up there. He probably just want Peyton to do it because he looks really bad. But at this point, like they gotta do something. Like this team is beyond awful.
It's bad.
It's really bad. Like that defense, Zach Wilson with no offensive line put up. I mean, they put up. I know they had a defensive touchdown, but outside of the one scoop and score, the Jets had offensively scored 24 points given, and Jets offense isn't really that good. And even their offense isn't much better. The team is awful. So it's time to blow that thing up. I think because it's just not going to work there.
Yeah, this is one of those situations in sports where we refer to it as a crisis.
Yes, very much still a crisis.
The Denver Broncos are officially in crisis.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to be fantastic. And they are awful. They are horrendous. There are some other teams out there who you could also argue are in crisis. But it's certainly not as bad as the Broncos. Maybe you can argue the Giants.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a little bit. But the next game is Browns 49ers. So the Browns shocked the world with PJ Walker as their quarterback. Justin likes him to PJ Walker, I know.
I do like PJ Walker.
He's the former XFL quarterback. He was in Carolina the last couple of years. Got some playing time because Carolina had no other quarterback because the rest of the quarterback was just as bad as him. I guess he's the backup and not Dorian Thompson-Beckham right now. Sherlock's still out with a shoulder problem, so he got the start. And they shocked the world, beating the Niners 19-17. Jake Moody, the Niners rookie kicker, missed a 4-year field goal as time expired. Brock Purdy also did not play well in this game. So, Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel both got hurt in the game. So I want to ask you, is Purdy a product of a system, or do you think he's a legit, really good quarterback and he's had an off game?
I think he's legit. Mm-hmm. I think he had an off game. Because you need to think it. The only reason why I'm saying that is this. So Brock Purdy comes. So let me give you to the order of events for people that need to remember. Jimmy G gets hurt. Mm-hmm. In comes Trey Lance. How did Trey Lance play with that offense?
Not very good.
Not very good. Not very good. He gets hurt. Then you have no choice but to put in this kid named Brock Purdy. And he out of nowhere, and he leads them to an NFC championship. He gets hurt. Who comes in then?
Josh Johnson.
And how did he play?
God awful.
He played god awful. That's the answer. You could have the most stacked offense in the world. If your quarterback doesn't know what he's doing, you're not going to win with it. You just can't. And granted, if you give a more elite quarterback that line, they'll probably do even better. But I think this is just a bad game. He's entitled to have some at this rate because of how much he's done so far. But the real thing I want to talk about is the injuries. The biggest issue with the 49ers is the nice domino effect they have. Yeah. One person gets injured, and in that same game, like 4 other people get injured. So what? It started off like Thomas Frank, right? Yeah. No, I forgot his name. The defensive lineman for the Niners, he gets hurt. Then Deebo gets hurt, and then you have, I don't know. I guarantee you, Christian McCaffrey will be out for the rest of the season at some point down the road here. George Kittle will get hurt at some point. Brandon Ayuk will get hurt at some point, and then Brock Purdy will get hurt. At this rate, Kyle Shanahan will get hurt. And then they'll be out of and they'll lose in the NFC Championship. That's just gonna happen with this team as always. But that being said, did Brock have a bad game? Maybe. But is Deshaun Watson just a fraud? Yes.
Yeah, he has not looked good.
He is. Yeah, I mean, Niners defense is good. Wait, didn't Bosa get hurt that game?
Don't think so, no.
That he'll be next, trust me. He'll
Oh,
get hurt.
God.
He will get hurt eventually, because that's just how it works. That's how it works in the 49ers organization. But I don't know. PJ Walker had a solid game, had some solid throws, and a really nice upset for them. And PJ Walker is better than Deshaun Watson. What else do you want me to say?
Deshaun Watson does not look good. I don't even, he has not looked good at all. But yeah.
By the way, I know he has a shoulder injury. Please keep him away from a massage parlor.
Yeah.
He does not need He does not need a shoulder massage. A shoulder massage. They have Theraguns in there. They literally do. They have like the massage guns that they have.
I know. Yeah.
They get them for free. I'm telling you.
All right. So the Raiders and Patriots had a football game. For whatever reason, the NFL decided to schedule that one. The Raiders won 21-17. They're up 19-10 late in the fourth quarter. Patriots score a late touchdown. They force a stop. They get the ball back late. And then Mac Jones gets sacked in the end zone for a safety, which iced the game for the Raiders, giving them a 21-17 win inside 2 minutes. So Mac Jones wasn't great. 3 for over 200 yards. He had that god-awful interception. So for New England, they promoted Malik Cunningham from the practice squad, gave him a 3-year deal. Of course, he's the fun little gadget guy. He played receiver at Louisville, but also kind of can play quarterback. And we saw him all, running around the field in preseason. Do you give him a shot? Do you give Zappe a shot? Do you stick with Mac? What do you do at this point for the Patriots?
At this point, I would give Malik Cunningham a shot. What has Mac Jones proven right now that to where he deserves that starting spot? He has not. He has gone lower and lower since a rookie. Rookie year, he was good. Then the year after, he was decent, and now he's kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
He's not the guy.
Now, as a Jet fan, I am secretly very happy about this.
Yeah, me too. And for me, it's not a secret either.
Yeah, I'm secretly very, very happy about this. Because it's about time. Just saying, it's about time the Patriots knew how it feels to not have a stable quarterback situation.
Exactly.
But there's really not much to talk about with this one. It's just, people knew the Raiders were going to win this game.
I picked them to win.
I picked them to win this game. My God, is Mac Jones bad? Jimmy G's no better. It was kind of a toilet bowl on the quarterback end of things.
That's right. He got hurt. Brian Hoyer came in.
You got hurt. Brian Hoyer. So that means Brian Hoyer is indeed him. But
he should know the Patriots play. He was only there 9 different times.
But yeah, of course, though, you got to give credit to Jacoby Myers for once again being the factor as to why the Patriots lost.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Mac, look, was the game all his fault? No. The O-line didn't protect him very well. And his receivers aren't good. He threw a beautiful ball right before the play before he got a safety, just inside 2 minutes.
Threw it right into the hands of Devontae Parker.
Who dropped that ball. That's just an awful drop. If he catches that ball, obviously you'll give up a safety because that's like 40, 50 yards down the field. And they may have been able to get a field goal and win that game. But then the next play, the O-line breaks down. I watched the replay. I always say, once as a quarterback, if you can count to 3, if you can count to 3 Mississippi, if you still have the ball, that's enough time. They sacked them like right as I said 3 Mississippi, so the O-line need to give him a little more time. He takes a safety and that pretty much iced it. So of course the Raiders get the ball back. Patriots only had 1 timeout left, so when they got a minute 40 left, so the game was over.
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to express some appreciation for somebody.
Okay, who was that?
Max Crosby.
He is phenomenal.
He is so good.
God.
He should be up for Defensive Player of the Year.
He really should. He's a great story too. He had some
alcoholism and had to go to rehab, and he overcame.
Second team All-Pro a year or 2 ago. He is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's so good as well, and it's probably going to go to somebody else, but he should be at least in the conversation.
Absolutely.
He is the best player on that Raiders team, and it's not even close.
Country freaking miles.
It's not even close. He is probably the only reason why Josh McDaniels still has a job.
Yeah,
because if Max Crosby isn't on that defense, the Patriots aren't winning that game. The Patriots are winning that game.
Yeah, and there was a report before the game. If the Raiders don't start winning, he can get hot. If they lost that game, he may not have a job by now.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have a job by now. So thank you, Max Crosby, for being the Superman of the Raiders.
Yeah, but with Mac, it wasn't all his fault, but he kind of reminds me of Sam Darnold. as a rookie, he did some nice things. You know, he was all right. Obviously, he meant a little more than Darnold because Darnold's team was awful. He had one of the worst coaches in recent memory, Adam Gaze.
Yeah, they also kind of gave Mac Jones
Yeah,
some passes because he had Matt Patricia at the.
Mac had a much better supporting cast. Obviously, he had a great coach, and then then the second year Darnold was awful, and then
Mac Jones was decent, but
you
then
know,
people kind of defended by saying Matt Patricia was the offensive coordinator.
He wasn't good last year, but they're like, oh, he didn't have play calling was horrible. They gave him a pass, but now good luck. Yes, the team isn't very good, but you got himself a real play caller. They made a couple of moves, and you still suck. If you're truly a franchise quarterback or even a good quarterback, you should be able to you should be able to have a touchdown pass at least once in 3 games over the last 3 games. He's not the guy, and at this point, their season's done. It's over.
Oh yeah, I mean Ashton said it before as well. He's our Patriots guy. He said, he wants the season to be over at this point. He just wants to tank for a quarterback here, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, they're awful. Their season's done like dinner at this point. I'd also throw Cunningham in. Just see what you have on him. If he goes out there and he's awful, so what? Whatever. If anything, it'll make you lose more and you get a higher draft pick at this point.
That's
they're
true.
Awful. By the way, how are the Raiders 3-3? They might be the worst 3-3 team I've ever seen. Because the good God, that team is not good. All right, now let's talk about the Jets, baby. Huge win over the Philadelphia Eagles down their top 2 corners, Sauce Gardner, who's an All-Pro, and DJ Reed facing that low to the Eagles offense. They didn't have Brandon Eccles, who's one of their backup corners as well, or Justin Hardy, who's also one of their corners. He's a very important on special teams. Big upset. Zach Wilson played all right. He held onto the ball a little too long a couple of times, but no picks in the game. Didn't do anything incredibly stupid.
Had a nice 2-point had a nice throw for the 2-point conversion.
Yep. Breece Hall had a really nice game. Of course, he had the go-ahead rushing touchdown after the pick by the Jets. So Hurts for 280 touchdown and 3 picks. So Eagles no longer undefeated. So 1972 Dolphins. I'm not sure of how many of them are still alive, but they can breathe because
I think Dan Marino is part of that.
No, he was.
No, he's not.
That's too far back. But they can breathe, whether that's from the grave or from their couches, because their streak survived yet another year. But just get the 3-3 going into the bye.
Great win for the great. This is on both sides. Excellent win for the Jets, and that's not being biased. That defense,
huge win,
being down Sauce and DJ Reed, and still putting up a defensive masterclass against one of the best, quarterbacks, one of the best offense in the league, is nice.
Oh yeah,
it's really nice. That right there is Robert Saleh coaching.
Oh yeah.
So I can add more tier now, so let me know where you're at. Okay, I need to go.
Right.
But what I'll say is this: I will finish this up because it's going to take me 2 minutes. Excellent win for the Jets. Horrible loss for the Eagles. Absolutely atrocious loss for the Eagles. You can't put up 12 points with that kind of offense. You have so many pieces. Yep. You have the infinite glitch of pieces. And you're telling me you put up a 12-point performance? That is a game they're gonna want back. And as a Jet fan, I want to put that win on repeat. I'm out.
Thank you, Justin, for coming on today. And we're actually almost done here. But huge win for the New York Jets. The fact that they're 3-3 heading to the bye is a miracle. After losing your star quarterback, who gave up all that you gave up for in the offseason. The entire season was off season revolved around them getting Aaron Rodgers, losing him, on the first drive of the year, having all the injuries that you've had on the offensive line, the injuries that you've had the last couple of games to the secondary, and just, Breece Hall, coming off an injury, and just, having to go back to Zach Wilson and to be 3-3 with a pretty tough schedule. Obviously the Denver Broncos game that they won wasn't a hard game. They are maybe the worst team in the league. Other than that, you played the Bills, who are very good. You played Dallas, who's a good team. The Eagles are a Super Bowl contender, so cannot believe the Jets are 3-3. That is a huge win. I didn't even pick up to win. Wow, that's incredible. They just might have the best defense in football. And Zach Wilson, he still isn't doing playing great. He's got to work on not holding on to the ball too long, but he's hasn't had a turnover. I think in the last 3 games, he's been much better. He's handling the media a hell of a lot better. And Brees Hall now he's no longer on a pitch count. He looks phenomenal, and so kudos to the Jets. The last game I'm going to talk about that we're going to close out. I'm going to close out the show is Bills against the Giants. It was a really ugly game, kind of hard to watch. Bills win 14-9. They got a touchdown kind of in that fourth quarter. Game finished on the goal line. It was they're on around the 10-yard line. There was 2 seconds left, and Taylor, of course, starts for the Giants. His pass was incomplete, but it was passing interference on the Bills. So now they had first and goal at the 1-yard line. So they had one play from the 1-yard line. If they score a touchdown, they win the game. If they don't, they lose the game. And they did. He tried to pass to Darrell in the back of the end zone. It was incomplete, and so they lose a couple of things. First of all, the more I look at it, I do think that was passing interference on Taron Johnson. I think it should have been passing interference. They should have gotten it and never try. But also, holy hell, the Giants are bad. I don't know who the worst team in the league is. There's a few really bad teams. Carolina's 0-6. The Giants are pitiful. The Bears are pitiful. The Broncos are pitiful. It's probably one of those four. You could probably, New England is definitely at that table, I would say. Maybe even Arizona. Even Minnesota, even though they have 2 wins. But good God. The Giants offensive line is terrible. Didn't have the left tackle Andrew Thomas yet again. The center John Michael Schmitz didn't play. Andrew Thomas's replacement, he got hurt in the game, so their offensive line is just depleted with injuries right now. They're awful. Saquon didn't look great in his return. 24 carries, 93 yards. So the 2 big runs he had in the fourth quarter really didn't do anything. Didn't have the same explosiveness. Defense played their backside off. They forced a couple of turnovers. They were phenomenal. But good God, that offense is bad. They twice in this game were on the 1-yard line, and they got 0 points. The Giants have maybe the worst red zone offense I've ever seen. It is awful. They were on the goal line. I just waved to Molly. She used to be the president of the Sports Media Club through the window, so shout out to her through this big window here. Like they're on the 1-yard line. At the end of the first half. So apparently Daboll drew up a pass, which makes sense because they had 14 seconds left, not down on the goal line, but they were inside the 10. They had first and goal, whatever it was. Actually, no, they were on the goal line. First and goal at the 1. They got 14 seconds left and no timeouts. So you can throw an incomplete pass, but you gotta make sure the clock stops. Because you have 14 seconds, you don't have a timeout. And they run the ball abruptly, and they get stuffed. And of course, they didn't have enough time to get their snap off, and they go to the half without getting any points. Those coming off a big turnover. They had a chance to take lead going into their. They had a chance to. They would have been up 13-0 going into the half and getting the ball back. And if you get a touchdown coming out of the half, you're up 20-0. Early third quarter. At that point, the way the Bills played that game would have probably been over. And I don't understand. And apparently, Tyrod Taylor recorded an audible. Come on. Look, Tyrod Taylor, he's a backup for a reason.
Tyrod sucks.
That was Justin in the back there. I guess he's still hanging around. But you can't call an audible there. I know he's a backup quarterback for a reason. He had, besides the one somewhat okay year in Buffalo a bunch of years back, he was a backup in Baltimore. The other 2 years he started for the Bills, he was not good. Cleveland looked better with Baker Mayfield was started than him, and he was in Cleveland. He's been a backup everywhere else he's been. With the Chargers, obviously, they look much better with a rookie, with phenomenal one, Justin Herbert, than with him. And he's bounced around the league as a backup. Now in his second year as a backup for the Giants. But he's played enough football. He was Joe Flacco's backup in Baltimore for a few years. He started in Buffalo for 3. Then he was, mainly a backup in Cleveland and the Chargers. Now he's been a backup for the Giants. So he's played what? He's been in the league, what, 10 years? He's playing the football. He's got one now. 14 seconds left. No timeouts. We're on the goal line. This team is struggling mightily. They got some key guys out with injury. They're 1-4. Their season is spiraling away from them. They're in a tough division. If they're 1-5, there's really no chance they're coming back. In fact, there's probably no chance they come back from 1-4 either. But still, you gotta draw up a path. Whether that's a quick slant to one of your receivers, whether it be Darius Slayton or Isaiah Hodgins, who have played pretty well this year. Even Wendell Robinson, since he's been healthy, he's played well. He finds his big tight end, Darren Waller. Something. He's got to do something. Look for Saquon Barkley out in the flat for a touchdown. They're on the 1-yard line. You can't run the ball there. They've got a great defense. They're on the goal line. They're stocking the box. Barkley's not healthy. Come on. You got him now. And then, you got about... So they were in the red zone. With about... I think they had 9 seconds left. So you think, all right, probably 2 shots. You got 2 shots at the end zone. If you get in, you win. If not, you lose. First play, Taylor gets bum rushed because their offensive line is pitiful. The Bills also have a very good pass rush. And he scrambles for a few yards, gets out of bounds with 2 seconds left. So now you got 1 shot at the end zone. You're on about the 10-yard line or so. Incomplete, but the Bills gift you a passing interference. Since it happened in the end zone, the ball gets put at the 1. So now you're on the goal line. You need 1 yard. It comes down to this. The clock is at 0-0, but the game can't end on a defensive penalty, so they get 1 play. Like, you don't get another play after this. It is guaranteed this is the last play of the game, unless there's another defensive penalty. And you don't even use your best weapon. That's when you want to run the ball Saquon Barkley. And I do think they missed the PI on Taron Johnson. The rest weren't great last night. Missing the PI on Taron Johnson, the roughing the passer. They called on the Giants. Josh Allen earlier in the game was a terrible call, but not the reason they lost whatsoever. Run the ball with Barkley. Punch it in. I know Barkley wasn't healthy, but he's also one of the best backs in the league for a reason. 1 yard to win the game. Punch it in. That's a game you had to have. The Bills played awful. They played awful. They got a lot of pressure on Taylor, but didn't really have a lot of sacks with that O-line. Come on. As bad as their offense played against the Giants, which isn't bad, but not phenomenal either. In fact, they only scored 14 points against the Giants. Pitiful. Like, I don't understand. And I love Daboll. But you gotta... Drawing a pass play on the last play of the game like that when all you had to do was punch him with Barkley from a yard out after they gift you another chance on the penalty. I don't understand. Giants, they gotta be better. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Tomorrow, most likely, will be an intro preview, guaranteed to be this week. Hopefully tomorrow. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.